A single touch, lasting less than 3 seconds, can flood a woman's brain with enough oxytocin to make her feel emotionally bonded to you for hours. That is not romantic poetry. That is neuroscience, and yet most men have absolutely no idea which touches trigger that response and which ones make a woman quietly decide she will never see them again. Today you're getting all 7, each one backed by real psychology, and number 5, that one is almost unfair. Why words aren't enough. A mature woman has heard every compliment ever written. She's read every sweet text. She sat across from men at candlelit dinners who tried desperately to say exactly the right thing. Words stopped moving her a long time ago, not because she became cold, but because she became experienced. What actually reaches her, what cracks open a heart she spent years carefully guarding, is something far more primal than language. Touch, but not clumsy, grabby, movie imitation touch. Specific, intentional, psychologically precise touch that communicates things words literally cannot. Safety, confidence, tenderness, desire, all delivered without opening your mouth. Research from UC Berkeley found that people could identify emotions like love, gratitude, and sympathy through brief touch alone with nearly 78% accuracy. Your words wish they performed that well. Touch 1. The lower back guide. When you place your hand gently on the small of her back, guiding her through a doorway, walking beside her at an event, you're activating one of the most nerve-dense regions of the entire human body. But here's what most men completely miss. Speed and pressure are everything. A quick pat feels like something her uncle does at a holiday gathering. A heavy push feels like control. But a slow, warm, full palm placement that quietly says, "I am here and I am aware of you," triggers what psychologists call a protective bonding response. Her nervous system reads it as safety. Oxytocin releases, and she begins associating your presence with calm. For a woman who has spent years being her own protector, carrying everything herself, that single gesture communicates more than 100 roses ever could. It tells her, you don't have to carry all of this alone right now. Touch 2, the two-handed handhold, not regular hand-holding. That's teenagers at a shopping mall. This is when you take her hand and bring your other hand over to cradle it, both of yours holding one of hers, during a quiet moment, after she's shared something vulnerable. This creates what therapists call bilateral stimulation, symmetrical sensory input that her brain interprets as complete, undivided emotional presence. The same technique is used in trauma therapy to help people feel safe enough to process pain. For a mature woman who has spent years with men whose bodies were present but minds were somewhere else entirely, feeling both your hands wrapped around hers with genuine warmth and intention triggers one overwhelming thought: this one is different. And once a mature woman's brain decides you're different, every other man is competing uphill. Touch 3. The forehead touch, not a kiss. Simply pressing your forehead gently against hers, eyes closed naturally, breathing synchronizes, the world goes completely quiet. Relationship researcher Dr. Sue Johnson describes these as bonding moments, micro-interactions that activate the adult attachment system the same way a mother's touch activates it in an infant. The forehead touch is among the most powerful because it demands vulnerability from both people simultaneously. You cannot do this from across a room. You have to slow down. You have to be genuinely close. You have to let your own guard down too. For a woman who has built walls high enough to block out most of what the world has thrown at her, this touch is a quiet, respectful knock on a door she forgot she still had. It doesn't demand. It doesn't escalate. It simply says, "I am right here. Nothing else matters right now." A man who can hold that moment without rushing it, without breaking the silence with a nervous joke, has communicated more emotional intelligence than most men demonstrate in an entire relationship. Touch 4. The back of the neck. The nape of the neck is densely packed with nerve endings. Because it's an area people cannot see or easily protect, touching it creates a simultaneous spike in both arousal and trust. That specific combination is extraordinarily rare. Most touches produce one or the other. This one does both at once. When a man gently places his fingers on the back of her neck while leaning in to say something, while sitting quietly beside her, her brain runs an instant evaluation. Am I safe? Do I trust this person? Does this feel good? When all 3 answers are yes, dopamine and oxytocin release in tandem, the precise neurochemical combination responsible for romantic attachment. One critical warning: timing is non-negotiable. This touch only works after real trust has been built. A mature woman knows the difference between awareness and assumption the moment it happens. Earn this one. Don't shortcut it. Touch 5. The thumb stroke. This is the one that's almost unfair. You're already holding her hand, or your hand rests on her arm or her shoulder. And without drawing any attention to it, your thumb begins moving slowly, rhythmically across her skin. Small strokes, quiet and steady. You don't look down, you don't announce it. You simply keep talking while it happens. Specific nerve fibers in the skin respond exclusively to this type of slow, gentle stroking, and they connect directly to the brain regions responsible for emotional closeness and social bonding. Swedish researchers found this motion activates the insular cortex, the area specifically associated with feelings of intimacy. She may not consciously register what you're doing, but her brain registers every single stroke. Her body responds completely. And a mature woman, one who has spent years in relationships where affection was either performed or absent, will feel that quiet, absent-minded movement of your thumb and think, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. This is just who he is. That belief that your tenderness is natural rather than calculated is what makes her fall, not the grand gestures, not the expensive dinners, your thumb, moving slowly. While you talk about something completely ordinary, touch 6, the silent pull. You're sitting beside her. And without a word, you reach over and draw her closer. Your arm finds her shoulder and brings her in. Your hand finds her waist and closes the space between you. No announcement, no come here, just movement. Attachment researchers call this proximity seeking, one of the primary markers of secure bonding. When you close the distance without being asked, you're communicating something no sentence can replace. The space between us felt wrong. I wanted you closer. For a woman who has spent years feeling like she had to earn closeness, had to be agreeable enough, attractive enough, accommodating enough just to deserve affection, this rewrites a story she's been telling herself for a very long time. She's not wanted for what she provides. She's wanted simply for existing beside you. Touch 7, the long hold hug, not a quick squeeze. Not the one-armed side acknowledgement that says, I recognize your physical presence, but I'm not committing to this. Both arms, chest to chest, a minimum of 20 seconds. Research published in peer-reviewed journals confirms that hugs lasting 20 seconds or longer trigger significant oxytocin release, while simultaneously reducing cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Her heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, her nervous system shifts from fight or flight into the state where genuine emotional bonding becomes possible. Dr. John Gottman, whose relationship research spans 4 decades, recommends extended physical holding as one of the most effective tools for rebuilding trust between partners. It is not a metaphor, it is a clinically supported intervention. For a mature woman specifically, one who by her 40s or 50s has quietly absorbed loss, heartbreak, and loneliness she never once spoke aloud, who has become her own support system because she had no other choice. When you wrap your arms around her and simply don't let go, something shifts that she cannot control. Every wall softens, every defense relaxes. Every instinct that has told her to stay guarded begins to quiet, not because she is weak, but because for the first time in a very long time, she doesn't have to be strong. And that is the most powerful thing any touch can accomplish. Not to excite her, not to impress her, to relieve her, to give her permission to put down the weight just for one moment. 7 touches, each one rooted in psychology, neuroscience, and the lived reality of women who have been through enough to know exactly what genuine connection feels like. And not a single one requires money, status, or perfect circumstances. They require awareness, intention, the willingness to slow down long enough to be truly present with the person in front of you. That's what she's been waiting for. Not performance, presence. Like, subscribe, and share this with a man who needs to understand that the most powerful thing he can offer has nothing to do with what he says.